Hello, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today we are going to be batch cooking gluten-free waffles, homemade from scratch. And that's why we have all of this stuff on the counter. And I'll run down the ingredients for you really quick. Baking powder, salt, vanilla. I'm using cashew milk because it's what I have. You can use regular milk or any plant-based milk that you want. Eggs, I've got 4 eggs from my backyard chickens, honey from my beehives, this is xanthan gum, butter, this is rice flour, and it looks kind of funny because the bottom of it has white rice flour and the top of it has brown rice flour, but it really doesn't matter what kind of rice flour you use. And then we have almond flour and tapioca flour. First thing we're going to do is mix all the dry ingredients into one bowl. We'll put the wet ingredients in this bowl. I have my recipe written out over here. That's why you'll see me looking down at it quite a bit. I don't batch cook waffles a ton. I really love to have them around because, you know, if you just need a quick breakfast and you can just take it out of the freezer and pop it in the toaster or in the oven. But I don't make them a ton. All right, first thing we're gonna put in is, today we're doing a double batch of my recipe. And the first ingredient we're gonna put in is 8 teaspoons of baking soda. And then we'll put in 2 teaspoons of salt. That was a little heavy-handed. Maybe I'll put some back. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, then what do we want to do? 2 cups of almond flour. And this is a half of a cup measuring spoon because it fits into the mouth of my jar. So 2 cups of almond flour. And, oh my goodness. And 1 cup of tapioca flour. And 1 cup of rice flour. Okay, last thing on the dry ingredient list. I don't know where to put this. Is 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Alright, and we'll set this aside and move on to the wet ingredients. Next up is 4 eggs. And make sure you don't have any shells in there, because ew. We want our waffles crispy, not crunchy. Next up is the milk, and we're gonna put in 3 cups of milk. I don't know why I always smell milk. It doesn't matter if it's plant-based or dairy, I always smell the milk. Anybody else? This smells good, by the way. And it's regular, unsweetened cashew milk. slightly eyeballing this because I've used this 2-cup Pyrex for so many years that all of the markings on it are rubbed off. But that's probably good enough. Pretty close. Close enough. 2 teaspoons of vanilla is next. And we need to melt up half a cup of butter. I'll go do that right now. While the butter is melting, we'll go ahead and whisk up our ingredients. I should have got a bigger bowl, because I'm not going to be able to incorporate these because they're both full. Did I mention, whenever I cook, it seems like I use every dish in the house. And we're back with the butter, but I'm gonna let that cool off for just a second so it doesn't start to cook the egg. And in the meantime, we'll put in our honey. I don't love super sweet waffles, so I'm only gonna put in 4 tablespoons. You could also use maple syrup if you like, but I just love honey, so that's what I'm going to use. And you could put in more or less, totally up to you. And give this a good stir. And you won't need any machines, I mean, except for the waffle maker. You won't need a mixer or anything like that to make the batter. In with the butter. Right, once the honey gets incorporated into this, and I kind of clean up my workspace a little bit, I'll be right back with you. Everything is all nice and mixed up, but I am not at all confident that this will go into this bowl. I'm not gonna risk it. You can see that the only other ingredient that we still have left out is some butter, and we'll be using that to coat the waffle maker. And our last step before we get to actually making the waffles is to incorporate the wet part of the batter into the dry. Let's give it a big stir. I'm not sure I picked the right shirt for such a wet project, but we'll see if I can keep my sleeves and my hair out of the food. This looks like it's a little bit loose right now, but just you wait and see. After we get it all thoroughly mixed and all of the lumps and clumps and bumps are out of it, we're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. And in that span of 5 minutes, this will thicken up to the right consistency. There we go. It's pretty nice and smooth now. That didn't take long at all. We're gonna set this aside and let it just rest for 5 minutes. And we're going to go over to the waffle maker, get that preheated, and we'll go on to the next step. See you in a minute. We are ready now to make our waffles. This waffle maker has been preheating. It's really user-friendly and simple to use. It opens up just like this, and we'll put some butter in here. You can use Pam spray or whatever kind of non-stick that you want. And then we push it down, turn it, and then we turn it over, and there's a handy dandy light that will basically let me know when it's been cooked. And then this dial here just kind of gives you the minimum and maximum of heat. I'm gonna start pretty close to the maximum, and we'll see how it turns out. And see how thick our batter has become now that it's been sitting out and resting for 5 minutes. So it looks pretty good. Let's get started. Some butter in here. Down the lid goes. We'll wait for this little green light to come on. Let's take a look and see how they're doing. Yeah, they're beautiful. Okay, we'll just take them out. We'll set them on a plate. Oh boy, I could have done that with a little bit more grace. And we'll go ahead and move on to the rest of this big bowl here. All of this batter needs to be done. And I will go ahead and do that now and catch up with you when my pile is really high and this bowl is empty. Be right back. Check it out, we've got a mountain of waffles. I'm so excited. All we have to do now is get these little trays ready with some parchment paper. And we're gonna put the waffles in a flat layer. That way they don't stick to one another. The whole purpose of freezing these things flat is when you, like if we just took this pile of waffles and stuck it in a freezer bag, it would be one mass of a waffle as opposed to an individual one for your meal. Freezing them really quickly this way, I mean, you don't have to freeze them quickly. I'm gonna do it quickly. They're gonna freeze fast and I have enough time to get them into the vacuum seal today. But you can leave them in the freezer overnight if you want to, if you're making these late in the day. So, flat layer. If you don't have a lot of pans or extra freezer space, you can double decker. Might take slightly longer to freeze doing it this way, but it won't be that bad. I'm gonna cover it up. Not quite enough oil to cover it up. Got a little ambitious there. And into the freezer it goes. My dogs are distracting me, as always. I'm easily distracted, you guys. Way easily distracted. I'm gonna finish getting these onto the trays. Pop them in the freezer, and I'll see you back for the next step, which will be vacuum sealing. Be right back. We are ready to get these into the vacuum sealed bags. They're not like 100% frozen, but they're really close and it's late, and so we're gonna do it. This is a vacuum seal machine. It has a roll of bags in it. Pull the bag out. Hit the seal button. And as I always say, make sure you date it and label it. So I'm gonna date it up and say what's in it. Cut the top off. This is so easy. This part is the easiest part of the whole process. And the only thing you have to decide is, you know, who's gonna eat a serving. So consider this to be a serving. I'm gonna put in 2 because that's probably what my family will eat. But I might do some bigger ones in case I have company for breakfast for dinner. And once you get them in, stick it in the hole here and hit the seal button. And there you go. Takes all the air out, and these will be ready to open up and pop into the oven or the toaster oven, whichever you have and whatever you prefer. And then we've got a full meal ready to go, and you can just put on a couple of berries, some yogurt, maple syrup, cinnamon, I don't know. Whatever your bent is, you can do it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up with all of the rest of these, and then I will see you back after that. For those of you that are wondering what's in my crock pot, this is a cranberry pepper beef dish, and I'm super excited about it because I'm getting hungry. See you in a little bit. Waffles are done. We've got 17 meals here, everybody. 17 meals of beautiful homemade goodness. These are just gonna chill out in the freezer until we're ready for them. They can go right in the oven or into the toaster or a toaster oven if you have one. I don't. I wouldn't microwave them, but that's just me. You do you. You can add some yogurt, some fruit, I don't know, dip it in ice cream, whatever you want to do. But now you've got a meal that is ready to go, fast, easy, homemade. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel and drop me a comment. Let me know if you tried this recipe, if you like it, and how you do it different. I can't wait to hear from you. Okay, bye!